With the San Francisco 49ers all but being eliminated from the NFL playoffs, it has accelerated offseason talks. So, with 3 weeks left in the year, we are already talking about Brock Purdy's impending contract. We've already gotten reports from high level sources effectively saying that the 49ers view Brock Purdy as the franchise quarterback and look to engage in contract negotiations this offseason. We've also gotten additional reports effectively saying that Brock and his representatives will be going after a top of the market type of contract, meaning slotted at the highest value. So, with all these conversations have come a lot of opinions. And when you hear that, getting a top of the market contract, that puts you in the range of Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, and Trevor Lawrence. Those guys are making between $60 and $55 million per year on average. Well, Greg Papa, I just happened to be watching NBC Sports, the kind of like the post game, I guess, post game show that they do after Thursday Night Football, and the conversation about paying Brock came up. And Greg Papa revealed the number that he thinks Brock Purdy will get. And it's the first time that I have heard anyone who has inside internal working knowledge. Again, Greg Papa is a part of this organization. He's constantly in communication with guys like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. So for him to come out and say something, I think it carries weight. So this might be kind of a glimpse into how the team is internally viewing how much Brock is worth. Now, again, speculation, but take a listen to what he had to say right here.
He is eligible for a contract extension at the end of the regular season. The team reportedly wants to pay him. How much? Does he get $60 million?
What are you going
money? Yeah. What are you going to pay him?
I mean, the top guys in the league, Dak right before the start of the year signed a 4-year deal for $240, so $60 a year. Jalen Hurts makes $51, Lamar $52, Justin Herbert $52.5, Goff $53, Tua $53. Why the hell are we sportscasters and not quarterbacks?
So what are they going to pay him?
No skill.
Look at the numbers, by the way, Pop.
This is a hard year to quantify his play. His numbers are down at almost. Last year he threw 31 touchdown passes. This year it's 15. He had a historically good year last year, but
wait, win yards and passing rating, he's in top 5
still.
Since he came in.
But the one thing that Brock looks at is last year he won 12 games. This year he's 6-8.
Okay,
it's all about winning. Last year Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel combined to score 40 touchdowns. 40. This year they've scored 2. McCaffrey scored none. Ayuk scored none.
Are you putting that all on Brock Purdy?
No, I'm saying the pieces around Brock Purdy. I mean, the way you look at a quarterback in a lot of ways, he's not Josh Allen. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but he's a brilliant point guard. He will get the guy, the most open guy, the football in the spot where he can catch and run with it. He's going to run your offense. Big brain Brock.
Are you calling him a game manager?
No, I'm calling him a quarterback who executes Kyle's offense to the highest level. When you don't have playmakers around, then Ayuk holds in and is not as effective. McCaffrey doesn't play till after the bye, and obviously Debo's had a down year, and I could go more and more on that as well. He's a product of the overall offense. I don't think he's going to get $50+ million, but they'll work out a number. They want Brock Purdy signed, sealed, delivered. They want him to be the 49er quarterback.
And he wants to stay.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So again, Greg Papa, the reason why to me this stood out is because he's the voice of the San Francisco 49ers. This guy continuously has conversations with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, the two kind of top decision makers when it comes to these football decisions. If you're unfamiliar with Greg Papa has always had this. He's not a typical broadcaster. He just never has been. When he was with the Raiders, he was like Al Davis's right-hand man. It was crazy. So he has always had a high level of access. And with the 49ers, it's very similar. He's very close in with the higher ups, and he has a working understanding. He gets football. He understands it. So that's why I think he's viewed as a trusted source to be able to be the voice of the 49ers and do all these things. And so, of course, you are privy to these conversations. You would have to assume. You would have to assume the topic of paying Brock Purdy has came up between Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and Greg Papa. It's just I would be flabbergasted if that has never occurred, because he's the voice of the 49ers. He's got to know these things. He asks them questions every week in sit down interviews, so that he has to understand and be uh, educated on the topics that are out there, which is why they were talking about this. So when he says he would be surprised if he gets over 50 million per year on average, I was like, oh, that's the first time that we've heard that. Like, we're all like, right now, if you go on to X or Twitter, whatever, you go onto social media, it's just a bunch of people throwing things at the wall. Like, just no one has a clue, because it's really early on in the process and the season isn't over yet. And so people are just like throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And so when you hear the report about top of market, well, that means anywhere between 60 and 55. Um, and if you slot that based on what Papa said, who's saying, you know, would be surprised if he gets over 50, that would put him in the range. Kyler Murray's making 46, Deshaun Watson 46, Kirk Cousins 45, Patrick Mahomes 45, Josh Allen 43, Matthew Stafford 40. Now, keep in mind, average per year isn't the necessarily the most important metric when it comes to gauging these contracts. It is the most convenient when it comes to discussing. That's how it's going to be discussed from here until when the contract is over. There's obviously a lot more greater details in the guaranteed money, in the structuring of the deal, the length of it. Those are the more important things, but that's not how it's discussed. It's discussed on the per year average because you can slot that. You can rank that against other quarterbacks, so it becomes an easier, more digestible talking point, which is why, regardless of it not being a super important number, it will be the number that's emphasized from here until he gets paid, because it's about how fans perceive it slotting with other contracts. So keep that in mind. There are more important metrics: structure, guarantees, contract length. Those things matter more than the overall average, because you can inflate, you know, you can drop dummy years into the contract to inflate the average. We've obviously learned this with all the conversations we've had about the wide receiver market last year. So the same thing applies, but that doesn't mean that that's going to change how it is being discussed. It will be discussed this way through the media and everyone else. So that's why we're kind of keeping a tally. So this is the first tally of us. I view Greg Papa as a credible source. A lot of people have different opinions on Greg Papa, but I view him as someone who clearly has these conversations internally. And so when he says, I don't know if he's going to get 50, but we're going to make it work and we're going to get him paid, kind of gives you a little bit of an insight into maybe where the starting point is on these negotiations, and can maybe already give you a glimpse of where the agent's going to start and where the 49ers are going to start. So we've seen the 49ers haggle over a million, haggle over 2 million, 3 million for months. If the gap is over 10 million, this is going to be a fascinating negotiation, but that's what happens when you don't make the playoffs. That's what happens when there's 3 games remaining and you have to accelerate offseason talks, because the season is effectively worthless at this point. So that's the bed that the 49ers have made, and now they got to sleep on it. And us 49er fans, infatuated with what the 49ers moves are going to be, and the biggest one being Brock Purdy. So I guarantee you this thing is going to be over discussed, over analyzed, and hot take to death, but that's what you get. And that's what, unfortunately, is going to be one of the biggest driving factors of the offseason conversation to the point where it's not even the offseason. And now we are fully engulfed in Brock Purdy contract talks. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.